Peace, family. This is your boy Juro. It's November 7th, 2019. How is everybody doing? You're on the backside of your week, fam. You're gonna mind me. You know I'm having my coffee. And yeah, I got an owie. Temporary only for a couple weeks. But as I woke up today, I decided to pretty much be still, relax, reflect, stay prayed up as you should as well. You know, it's very amazing that we are approximately 7.5 weeks, and we'll be embracing 2020. Isn't that amazing? 2020, less than 7.5 weeks, give or take. So I would be remiss not to speak on this. Just as I titled it, there are still people in your environment that you knowingly or unknowingly have given access to your life that hope that you stay the course. Now, that can be a positive thing because your environment should be a reflection of your mental state by way of their example because you manifest it. Everything that you have seen that has been illustrated has been divinely placed for the end goal, your legacy. And I don't want to be humdrum about it. And I'm looking at the clock now because it's noon here in Virginia Beach. I'm trying to sum this up real quick. Listen, if you don't like what's in your environment, you got to first acknowledge it's there. And after you have acknowledged its placement, you have to make a concession to change it. I know you've heard me say that time and time again. Energy out is energy returned. So, with that being said, being that this is the 7th of November, just for a second, take note where you are right now. Take note. May you be at work, maybe you, hopefully, not driving. Maybe you're at home. Whenever and wherever these words find you, now's the time that you take note of your environment so that accountability can be properly given. Now, if it's validating your growth, stay the course. But if it's been a distraction, if it feels like you've been holding the bag a little bit too long and your desire is not meeting or matching the output that is given from you, I ask you this one question. And the question is, when is enough enough? Now, we've all heard that no one has the ability to make anyone change. And we throw that word change cavalierly around, but change only means movement. It defines or can be illustrated as growth. But what if I changed the perspective and said this? What if you had the ability to turn back the hands of time? or reset your life? Would it get your attention? And then, if it does, what would you be willing to sacrifice for it? Now, I know that may sound morbid because the ultimate sacrifice is always measured by way of mortality, life. And without existence, time has no measurement. But if you look at the resources that have been given freely by you, and you do not see the validation of efforts given, the real question should be asked is, whose life are you truly living? Is it yours or is it your environment? Now, I'm saying that for a couple reasons. For starters, I've been echoing this for ooh, at least a good 6 months. At least a good 6 months of you have to purge the things that do not serve you. And one of the hardest things to purge is insecurity, negative thought, and actually gravitating towards support that does not exist. You have to find a way to go within yourself to find your greatest source. Now, on a spiritual note, your life means nothing without the Most High. Your life is the example of the Most High. No different than the rays that cascade from the sun. No different than the tides ebbing and flowing. Everything has a purpose. But how, or shall I say, when's the last time that you've actually allowed yourself to process what is deemed now, your reality? And I don't mean that from a perspective of criticizing yourself. I'm saying being present in your environment. When's the last time you did that? Some people may use the tactic of process of elimination. Some people may use the strategy of goal setting. But when you think about it, it's all the same. Just a different illustration to convey the point. Now, let me slow this down because I got a feeling some of you are saying, I understand, but I don't. And that's okay. Now, here's the stark reality. There are some people that you have afforded access to your life, present, past, and unfortunately future, that hope that you don't. Why? Because then, for one, if you don't change anything, there's no threat that you'll leave. Let that sink in. But number two is you won't be able to see the potential of your life. And that's the most scariest thing of them all because there's nothing more sad, tragic for someone to actually feel that their life has no purpose. That is terrifying. Why do you think mental health is at the level that it is? Why do you think there's so many people holding themselves hostage within them with their own mentality? Yeah, we can turn around and water it down and say, well, I've got fears and I've got insecurities that have shackled my life to a position that really that has become the companion that you've come to know, only in an emotional sense. You understand what I'm saying? Because every time that you see an example of someone beating themselves up, someone not being able to tap into their own greatness, you may even take up the opportunity to point out their strong suits. But that's just like trying to convey the message to someone who can't see or someone who can't understand. And it can be even frustrating because everybody's given certain gifts and talents. Everybody. You were afforded that the moment that you took your first breath. The journey of your life and the opportunity is for you to navigate so you can define it and it can be presented to the world. That's why some people have the gift of composing. Some people have the gift of analytics. Some people have the gift of compassion. Some people have the gift of speaking truth. Now, granted, we can always say everything is not for everybody. But how can we truly embrace that statement if we don't know who we are? Because until we understand exactly who that person, that beautiful person that is looking back from the mirror every day to greet you, no matter if you don't have a smile on your face, no matter what your state of being may be with them, the commitment is there through your reflection every day. So let's flip it because I mentioned, what if you had the ability to turn back the hands of time? Now, we also know that as human beings, but spiritual beings first, we're not afforded that. We're only given one life, and it is up to each person to see the value. And usually, a lot of times, what ends up happening is when there's something climatic that occurs that tips over the proverbial apple cart, so to speak, and causes us to stand still. Which brings me to my point. If you're not allowing yourself to process what is your reality, you know that you're not giving yourself or your body ample time to replenish itself. Because you do understand that this beautiful, most perfect thing we know is a body. Your body can heal itself. You do know that, right? That is why one of the most proverbial things that were learned, even when you were in kindergarten, they taught you the importance of consuming water, exposed you to the basic food groups. And what do they tell you? It is the building blocks of life. So if your body is not functioning as it should, can your intellect, can can your perceptions be? No. Now I know there are going to be some people say, well, Gerald, what about those people that they're limited because they have certain disabilities? But even in that scenario, God makes up for it, right? You do know that, right? What you lack in your senses, it is amplified for what you have. That is why it's so important that you embrace who you are. There's still people walking around today that are not comfortable in their own skin. They're too preoccupied in trying to fit in instead of going within. And sad because on a financial standpoint, there's somebody who's making money off of your fears, making money off your insecurities. Because it goes back to you loving you. Now, let's not stray because you're wondering why I made the comment of turn back the hands of time. You have the ability to a certain extent to do that, but you must also be able to make a decision on what it's going to cause you to do. And what I mean by that is your outlook. If your mind's not right, your forward thinking can't be either because it's skewed. And usually you'll notice that your body's not right either. Your body's trying to tell you something. Like, for example, you probably saw this. In my line of work, it's very demanding, as yours is. Mine is very physically demanding as well. And sometimes when you are not taking care of yourself properly, or the certain fail safes are not involved, you'll get a reminder to slow down. May it be through situation, may it be through an hour. But what is afforded to you, even through that situation, is the ability to learn from it. So, what I'm saying is, it was November 7th, family. Just take a second to look at how these last 10 months have played out. Even though this is the 11th month, look at where you were January 7th. Look at everything that you have done that has gotten you to this point. Does it make you smile or does it make you scratch your head? And then on top of that, take in consideration of what made the environment. I'm saying that because that may be the linchpin that is keeping you from your dreams. May it be the easy part is physical contact. That's the easy part. The hard part is accountability. I remember when I realized that the choices that I made in my 20s would have a ripple effect now that I am 50. Yeah, I'm 50 years old. I turned 50 this past March. Go figure, right? But I still feel like I'm in my early 30s. Don't get it twisted. And a lot of it has to do with the fact that no matter what is being shown, what is being dealt, what is being offered, you still have the right to choose. You don't have to accept it, but you do have to acknowledge what is given because that also defines your value in that environment. Let that sink in too. So, I know some of y'all made a decision to invest in your life. Some of you also decided to say, hey, look here, you don't like how your finances are. Oh, yeah, let's talk about money. Some of y'all are still barely holding on, barely holding on. But you know that you deserve better, but you won't cut out the things that you need to just put on the shelf. Maybe it might be some of your friends. You might be in a scenario that you may be the community refrigerator proverbial. You see what I'm saying? You know, you're that go-to person. Everybody comes to you. But it's okay, family, to take a step back. It's okay. Because if you don't take care of you, how can you truly take care of what makes you reality? How can you? But I also learned this too, because the one thing that you don't hear a lot of people talk about, there's millions and millions of people that have something to say, but you don't never hear people talking about the importance of loving themselves. It's like they're afraid of it. Do you realize how, peace and blessings, DB, um, how many people are walking around hollow inside, put on a good face every day, but dread going home? What up, LK? Peace and blessings. You realize that? But their projection is to fool you, but they can't fool the person in the mirror. It's backwards, don't you think? But we live in a world where social media has such placement to the point now that it's earned a platform, it's earned a title of calling themselves influencers. The greatest influence you're going to ever have is the person in the mirror looking back. That's why you feel pain. That's why you feel empowered. That's why you have those beautiful things called senses. Why? Because it is the living example of you. Can't buy that in the store. The people that you break bread can't give you that. It comes from within. Now, I'm looking at this clock, and I'll be remiss not to tell you this. See, I believe, notice word I. Everything's about mind, body, spirit. Everything. And I'm going to prove to y'all that you can turn back the hands of time if you remain consistent to your life. I am planning, I'm going to be generous because I'm going to be realistic too, because we do have Thanksgiving and I love to cook. Yeah, I can cook. I know somebody laughing. You can't cook ramen. Yeah, I can. I can cook. Just look at my videos in the back. You'll see me as the years went by. Every Thanksgiving, you saw a turkey in my hand. I can cook. That was the one beautiful thing my mom instilled in me as a little boy. She told me, she said, son, There are two things in life that you must do. So, number one, you have to be able to wash your clothes and wash your backside. And the other is you be able to feed yourself. Yes, we live in a world, 2019, you got grown people that can't make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, which is sad because there's no app for that. And I say that out of love because it's all about the energy that you're putting into whatever and expecting the outcome to be in a certain fashion. So, with that being said, you got to bear with me. I got a jet flying over my place. Next year is going to be a big year for me. The environment, as you see, is going to change again, as well as I've decided that I want to get back into my optimum self, who I really am. And the more that you invest in your body, the more it will yield in your progression. And to be honest with you, that was something that I stumbled on when I turned 21, well, a long time ago. And I realized that no matter what was going on in my life, I always had fitness to go to. When I felt a certain way, I turned that I turned that pain or disappointment into energy and I put it back into myself. And you know what it did? It kept the wrinkles off. It kept my immune system high. It gave me clarity. Now, 2019 family, yeah, I understand in the town near you, in the city near you, in the state near you, it can be very daunting because there's nothing but reminders of our society as where we've fallen short, where we've become disconnected, as well as where accountability should be and is not. You're not crazy. What does the your core tell you? That's your spirit. That's your spirit. Never, ever turn your never. Some people say follow your gut. I always believe that's just you're a spiritual person first. Stay true to that no matter what. Now, as long as you stay true it, your environment will always change around it. That means nothing is forever. Friendships, finances, physical dwellings, none of that. All that because you can't take it with you. You can't. So here's what I want to pass. I'm gonna wrap this up because I've said a lot. I know I've sounded like I've rambled a little bit, but my trust and believe it comes from a good place because I'm still praying for you guys, and you deserve to have the best life ever. But it's going to come with a price. The price is your commitment to yourself. You know, how true are you to you? That does not make you selfish. It only shows your self worth. It also protects you from the people who don't because they can't run it past you. So what'll end up happening is when the reality hits, they'll disappear. They're gonna disappear. But that won't be the only time you see them. Trust and believe that. They always come back. Just when they do, stay true, stay humble, and you'll stay blessed. Don't use it. Don't look at it as a sign of weakness. That is nothing but a opportunity to further your growth. Remember, I always used to bring the analogy of soul to soul, keep on moving. Have you noticed the things that were needed for your life? It continued without being inhibited. And guess what? 9 times out of 10, the things and the people that did not have your interests, your best interests, they didn't have access to you. They couldn't. Why? Because your angels were protecting you, your loved ones who have passed are watching out. Oh, you don't, come on now. You don't think that your auntie and your uncles, your cousins, your grandma, your granddad, those that you share your bloodline with, are not watching? And you think it's just an aha moment. No, 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 no. That is reassurance that the work you have to do is fulfilled. Now, not to sound bored, excuse me, not to sound morbid. See, somebody was saying that. Um, you're also protecting the promise to those that you won't meet, those people that are in your lineage that you won't be able to meet in this reality, but the work still has to be done for them still. I get it. I know there's some people. Look, 2019 don't want you. That's the greatest payoff for a lot of people. A lot of people want you to get to this conception that there's no spirituality is nothing. Okay, you're entitled to feel how you feel, but let me ask you this: how is it you have a reaction to things that you have experienced in another time and place, but it still has a magnitude now? How's that? Because that's your spirit. Some people know that as soul ties, but I believe it is all divine will, and it is. But anyway, I'm about to wrap this up real quick because I've ran my mouth too long. Look, fam, if you jockeying with your finances right now, and it's probably cross your mind, how am I going to navigate through November? Because you blink twice, you be grabbing the cranberry sauce out the refrigerator. How you gonna and then what? Christmas is next month. How you gonna do it? You're gonna be fine. You're gonna be fine, and it's gonna be better than you expected. Just make sure that you make sure that your time is measured just as well as you measure your money. And money is time. So don't get distracted. And as for me, as I told some people, I know some people have to see it to believe it. So after Thanksgiving, I'm gonna kick it in gear, and I'm gonna show you how different things are. And I'm gonna say May, but you'll see it way before then because you'll watch me. This will change. And I know somebody asked me like, "Darren, Gerald, you got all this great." Listen, this is environmental. I work just like you. There's stuff in the air you breathe. Just so happen, I work in aviation. So exhausts and gases and you know, if it doesn't get on your skin, guess what? Your first line of defense is your hair follicles. You know, what's in fuel? Carcinogens. And what does carcinogens do? It turns your hair like litmus paper. It'll That's a residual form. But I'm about to get back into my vitamin regimen. Some of you that have been following me, you know I have a health channel. Yeah, I do. It's called Journey of a Man, and I'm still taking my vitamins and my supplements. Um, and I've actually was flirting with beginning of year to do a cleanse as well as do a temporary fast where it'll be more vegan. But that's what makes your body so beautiful because your body will tell you what you need as long as you respect it. But it doesn't matter until you love you first. So you're on the backside of your week. I hope your week is blessed. Always sidestep the negative, speak your truth, but place God first in everything you do. You can't go wrong. Love to hear from you. Peace.